The last good night started with meatloaf. Jessica stood at the stove in our rental kitchen, her hair pulled back in that messy bun I loved, humming something I couldn't quite place. The smell of onions and ketchup filled the room, comfort food, the kind that makes you believe in forever. I watched her from the doorway, my duffel already packed in the hall, uniform pressed for the morning flight. "You're staring," she said without turning around. "Just trying to memorize it," I told her. 9 months is a long time. She turned then, spatula in hand, and I saw it. Just for a second, something flicker across her face. Guilt? Fear? At the time, I thought it was sadness about me leaving. Now I know better. "Ryan, it's not like it's your first deployment." She tried to smile. "You did 12 months in Afghanistan. This'll fly by." Different tour, same bullshit goodbyes. She crossed the kitchen and wrapped her arms around me. I pulled her close, breathing in her shampoo, vanilla, and something floral. The radio played an old Garth Brooks song, and we swayed there between the stove and the refrigerator, dancing in a kitchen that wasn't even ours. We were renting to own from old Robert Callahan, the Vietnam vet who owned half the rentals in town. Another year of payments and the place would be ours, our first real home. After dinner, I handed her something, a spare key I'd cut that afternoon. "You already have a key," she said. "I know, but I want you to have this one. Keep it somewhere safe." I closed her fingers around it. "This is still yours. I'll be back before you know it, and we'll finally own this place." She looked at the key like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "Promise me you'll be careful." "Always am." That night, we lay in bed, and she curled against me the way she always did. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, and I thought about how lucky I was. 9 years together, a house almost paid off, a woman who waited for me while I served. Life was simple, life was good. I didn't know that was the last time I'd see her as my wife. But 9 months later, when I came home, I wouldn't be walking through that door as the man who left. At the time, I thought I was just heading overseas for another tour. I didn't know my wife was about to lock herself into a trap of her own making, and that I'd end up serving her eviction papers in the house she thought was ours. 3 months into deployment, Iraq felt like Mars. 110-degree heat, sand and everything, the constant smell of diesel and sweat. I worked the motor pool, keeping Humvees and transport trucks running. The work was honest, the guys were solid. And at night, when the temperature finally dropped, I'd check my phone. Jessica's emails were getting shorter. Less, "I miss you," and more, "Work was busy today. Talk soon." Our Skype calls went from weekly to every other week. When we did connect, the video was grainy, and she always seemed distracted. "Everything okay back home?" I asked during one call. "Fine, just tired. You know how it is." "The house holding up? Furnace giving you trouble?" "No, it's all good. Actually, Nathan from the supply store fixed the porch light for me." "Nathan Pierce?" "Yeah, you know him, right? He's been helpful." I knew the name, construction supply place on Main Street, divorced guy, maybe a few years older than me. Harmless, I thought. "That's nice of him. I'll have to thank him when I get back." She changed the subject fast, too fast, but I was 7,000 miles away, staring at a pixelated version of my wife, and I told myself I was being paranoid. Deployment does that, makes you see threats everywhere, even where they don't exist. My buddy Marcus caught me staring at my phone one afternoon in the motor pool. "Mitchell, you good?" "Yeah, just... Jessica seems off." "Off how?" "I don't know, distant." Marcus clapped my shoulder. "Brother, they all get like that. My Emma went through the same thing during my first tour. Doesn't mean anything." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. If you've ever been deployed, you know that feeling. The one where home starts to feel like a dream you're not sure you'll wake up to. Every email, every call, every photo is a lifeline. And when that lifeline starts to fray, you grip it tighter. You make excuses. You tell yourself it's the distance, the time zones, the stress. You don't let yourself think the unthinkable until you can't ignore it anymore. Month 6, May 17th. I remember the date because it was the day the world split into before and after. I was in my bunk scrolling through Facebook when a message popped up. Emma Rodriguez, Marcus's wife. We'd met a handful of times at unit BBQs, good people. The message was short. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. I thought you should know. Call me when you can." Attached were 2 photos. The first was taken at O'Malley's Grill, the sports bar on the north side of town. Jessica sat across from a man I recognized, Nathan Pierce. They weren't just sitting. Her hand was in his across the table. Their heads were close. She was laughing. The second photo showed them leaving together. His hand rested on the small of her back, the way I used to touch her. I stared at my phone for 20 minutes, maybe longer. The motor pool faded away. The heat, the noise, the other guys talking. It all disappeared. There was just me in those two images and the sound of my heart trying to break through my ribcage. Marcus found me sitting on my bunk, still holding the phone. "Jesus, Ryan, what's wrong?" I handed him the phone without a word. He looked at the photos. His jaw tightened. "That motherfucker. I'll drive over there right now. No." "What do you mean, no? I know what he is." My voice sounded strange, flat, cold. "But I'm not making any moves until I know everything." "Everything? What else do you need to know?" I looked at him. How long? How bad? And what I'm going to do about it. Marcus sat down next to me. "Brother, whatever you need, I'm here. I need you to watch them, both of them. Don't confront, just watch. And send me everything." He nodded. "You got it." That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in my bunk and thought about every email, every short phone call, every time she'd said she was tired or busy or needed to go. I rewrote our entire marriage in my head. How much of it had been real? When did it stop? And then I thought about Nathan, the guy who fixed her porch light, the guy who'd smiled at me in passing at the grocery store, the guy who was fucking my wife in the house I was paying for while I was overseas. That's when something shifted. The Ryan who left Fayetteville 9 months ago would have called her, begged for an explanation, tried to fix it. But that Ryan died looking at those photos. The one who survived? He started making plans. I logged into our joint bank account. Jessica didn't know I had access. I'd set it up before deploying with view-only permissions from overseas. I went through 3 months of transactions, restaurants I'd never heard of, multiple charges at O'Malley's, gas purchases in the next town over. And then I saw it. A hotel charge, February 14th, Valentine's Day. The Riverside Inn, 2 hours away, $237. I checked our cell phone account. We were on a family plan, still in my name from before we got married. I pulled the records. One number appeared over and over in Jessica's call log, sometimes 2-3 times a day. I Googled it, Nathan Pierce. I sat back and did the math. How many calls? How many texts? How long this had been going on? Months. At least since January, maybe earlier. Marcus became my eyes stateside. He started watching the house, discreetly from his truck parked a block away. He sent me photos with timestamps. Nathan's truck in our driveway. 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. 8 p.m. on a Friday. Overnight on a Saturday. One message from Marcus. Neighbors confirm they've seen his truck there multiple times. I heard him at Murphy's bar last week, drunk, bragging to some guys. Said, "Got a good thing going while Soldier Boy's away." I read that message 3 times. Then I called Marcus on the satellite phone. "I'm going to handle this," I told him. "How?" "I don't know yet, but he's not getting away with it. Neither is she. Ryan, if you need me to, I need you to keep watching, and I need you to keep your mouth shut. Can you do that?" "You know I can." I hung up and stared at the ceiling of my barracks. 4 months left on deployment. 4 months to plan. 4 months to make sure that when I came home, I wasn't walking into an ambush. If you're listening to this and you've ever had that sick feeling in your gut, the one where you know something's wrong but everyone's telling you you're crazy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling doesn't lie. Trust it. 2 days later, I got an idea. A crazy idea. The kind of idea that comes from rage and desperation, and the particular kind of clarity you get when someone rips your life apart. I emailed my father, subject line, "Need a favor. Dad, I need you to check something for me. Our landlord, Robert Callahan, is he still struggling financially? I heard something a while back about property taxes." My father, Frank Mitchell, retired factory worker, no nonsense, taught me everything about cars and even more about not taking shit from anyone. Called me the next day. "You heard right. Robert's in bad shape. Bank's threatening foreclosure on the rental properties." "Why?" "How much does he owe on our place?" I'd have to ask around. "Why, Ryan?" Because I want to buy it. Silence on the other end. Then, you want to buy the house, the one you're renting, the one your wife is living in. That's right. While you're deployed. Yes. Another pause. Son, what's going on? I told him. Not everything. Just enough. Dad didn't interrupt. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. What do you need me to do? Power of attorney. I'll send you the paperwork. Then contact Robert. Find out what he needs to sell. I've got savings, combat pay, hazard pay, haven't spent a dime over here, and I qualify for a VA loan. You've thought this through. Every detail. And when you come home, then I come home to my house. Not ours. Mine. Dad exhaled. Okay, send me the paperwork. 3 days later, I had POA filed. My father became my representative stateside. He reached out to Robert through a mutual friend, another vet from the VFW. Robert called me directly. Sergeant Mitchell, I heard you're interested in the property. I am, sir. What would it take? Bank's asking $180,000 to clear the debt. I'm underwater, son. I'll be honest with you. I can do $180,000. VA loan, no money down. I've got $45,000 in savings for closing costs and fees. Robert's voice cracked. You'd do that? You'd buy it sight unseen? I've been living in it for 3 years, Mr. Callahan. I know every inch of that house. When can we start the process? Yesterday. He laughed, a sad, relieved sound. I'll work with your father. And Ryan, thank you. You're saving my ass here. You served in Vietnam. I'm in Iraq. We take care of our own. The next 6 weeks were a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and wire transfers. Dad coordinated everything. Appraisal, inspection, loan approval, closing documents. I signed everything electronically from a dusty office on base, surrounded by guys who had no idea I was buying a house. Marcus checked in. Nathan's still there, 2-3 times a week. Let him. What? Let him. I want him comfortable. I want him to think he's safe. The closing happened on a Tuesday. Dad called me after. It's done. The deed's in your name. You own the house. Did Robert tell Jessica? He asked if he should. I told him to wait. Said you wanted to handle it personally when you got home. Good. What did he say? He said, understood. I think he knows something's up. He's a smart man. Ryan, I have to ask, what are you going to do when you get home? I looked out at the desert, at the mountains in the distance, at the place that had been my home for 9 months. I'm going to come home, Dad, and I'm going to take back what's mine. For the last 3 months of my deployment, I knew something Jessica didn't. That house she was living in, the one she was playing house with Nathan in, the one she thought was ours. It wasn't ours anymore. It was mine. Every room, every wall, every inch of property, legally, completely, undeniably mine. And when I stepped off that plane, I wouldn't be walking through that door as the man who left. I'd be walking in as the landlord, as the owner, as the man who just bought the battlefield out from under her. I didn't call her, didn't give her my exact arrival time. I told her I'd landed stateside safely and that I'd be home soon. Let her stew in that. Marcus picked me up from base instead of Jessica. We drove to the old neighborhood, parked down the street from the house. 6 p.m. Golden hour, the kind of light that makes everything look peaceful. Nathan's truck was in the driveway. We sat there and watched. At 7 p.m., the front door opened. Nathan walked out, stopped on the porch, my porch, and leaned back in. Jessica appeared. They kissed. Right there, under the porch light he'd fixed, they kissed like I didn't exist. My hands gripped the steering wheel. Marcus reached over, put a hand on my arm. Say the word, and I'll end him. No, I'm doing this the right way. Nathan drove off. Jessica went back inside. The lights in the living room flickered on. She was watching TV, probably relieved, probably thinking she had dodged a bullet for another day. I texted her, Hey babe, landed safe. Got delayed at base. Home tomorrow afternoon. Love you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Can't wait. I've missed you so much. I showed Marcus. He shook his head. Ice cold. Yeah, she is. I stayed at my parents' house that night. Dad didn't ask questions. Mom made dinner and pretended everything was normal. I could tell she knew. Parents always know. But she didn't push. That night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I thought about the next day, about the papers being drawn up by Patricia Brennan, the attorney I'd hired remotely, about the sheriff's deputy who had agreed to accompany us, about the moment Jessica's world would come apart. Part of me felt sick. Part of me felt nothing, and a tiny part, the part that had been humiliated and betrayed and made a fool of, felt something sharp and cold and satisfied. Tomorrow it all ended. I arrived home at 2 p.m., deliberately chose midday when Nathan would be at work, gave Jessica no time to prepare, no time to clean up evidence, no time to coordinate stories. I pulled into the driveway and sat for a moment, looking at the house. My house. The porch light Nathan had fixed, the front door I'd painted 2 years ago, the flower bed Jessica had planted. She must have heard the truck because she came running out. Barefoot, wearing jeans and one of my old army t-shirts, hair down. She looked like the woman I'd married. She ran to me, threw her arms around my neck. "You're home! Oh my God, you're finally home!" I hugged her back, went through the motions. Good to be back. We went inside. The house looked different. Small things, new throw pillows on the couch, different soap in the bathroom, a cologne scent that wasn't mine. I cataloged it all. "I was going to make your favorite tonight," she said, nervous energy radiating off her. "Meatloaf and..." "Sounds great." She talked through dinner preparation, talked too much, filled every silence with chatter about work, about the neighbors, about nothing. I watched her and wondered if she'd always been this bad at lying, or if I'd just never paid attention. "How was it over there?" she asked, slicing onions. "Hot, boring, same as always. I bet you're glad to be home. You have no idea." Dinner was overcooked, the chicken was dry, the vegetables were mushy, and she kept jumping up to refill my water, to adjust the salt shaker, to do anything but sit still and look at me. Halfway through the meal, I decided to test the waters. "House seems good. Anything break while I was gone?" No, everything's been fine." "Neighbors doing okay?" "Yeah, the Johnsons had their baby, little girl." "That's nice. And you? You've been okay?" "Busy with work, you know how it is." "Right." I took a bite of chicken, chewed slowly. "Nathan from the supply store. He came by to fix the porch light, you said?" She froze just for a second, fork halfway to her mouth. "Oh, yeah, it was out. He was helpful." "I should thank him. I'll stop by the store this week." "You really don't have to. It wasn't a big deal." "I insist." Her face went pale. She pushed food around her plate. "Actually, I don't know his schedule. He might not be there." "That's okay. Small town. I'll run into him eventually." The rest of dinner was silent. That night, we lay in bed. She curled against me, but her body was tense. I stared at the ceiling, just like 9 months ago, just like the last good night. But this time, everything was different. I heard her crying softly in the bathroom at 3 a.m. Part of me, some small, stupid part, almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered those photos, the hotel charge, the text messages, Nathan's truck in my driveway, his hand on her back, his lips on hers. By sunrise, any sympathy I'd had was gone. I called Patricia Brennan at 9 a.m. "Papers ready?" "Signed and waiting. I'll bring them by your parents' house this afternoon." "No, I want to be there when they're served. Can we coordinate with the sheriff's office?" "You want to serve them yourself?" "I want to watch." She paused. "This is highly unusual, but yes, I can arrange for a deputy to accompany me. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Perfect." Friday, I told Jessica I had appointments at the VA. Instead, I met with Patricia at her office downtown. She was mid-50s, professional, had handled dozens of military divorces. She laid everything out on her desk. Divorce petition. Grounds, adultery. Evidence attached, photos, phone records, bank statements. Property settlement, none requested by respondent, as respondent has no legal claim to any marital assets. And the second set of papers. Eviction notice. 30 days to vacate the premises located at 428 Oak Street. Property owner, Ryan Mitchell. "This is airtight," Patricia said. "She has no standing. The property was purchased after the alleged adultery began, in your name only, with your funds. She never contributed to the down payment, never appeared on the deed. Legally, she's a guest, not a tenant. And Nathan? If he shows up, he's trespassing. You have every right to call the sheriff." Good. That night, my last night in that house with her, I took Jessica to O'Malley's Grill, the same place Emma had photographed her with Nathan. She went pale when I suggested it. Why there? Just felt like it. Good food, right? We drove in silence. The restaurant was half full, Friday night crowd. We sat in a booth, ordered drinks. Jessica couldn't look at me. She kept checking her phone. Expecting a call? I asked. No, just work stuff. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, turned it face down fast. I'd seen enough. Nathan's name on the screen, message preview. Miss you. I sipped my beer. How's Nathan doing these days? Still at the supply store? She went white. I don't really know him that well. Funny, seems like he knows our house pretty well. What? Nothing, just making conversation. The waitress came, took our order. Jessica excused herself to the bathroom. I watched her go, watched her pull out her phone the second she was out of sight. When she came back, her eyes were red. She'd been crying. You okay? I asked, all concern. Fine, just tired. We ate in near silence. I paid the check. As we walked to the truck, I put my hand on her back, the exact spot Nathan had touched her in that photo. She flinched. Tomorrow's a big day, I said. What do you mean? You'll see. That night, she didn't sleep. I could feel her lying awake next to me, rigid, terrified. I didn't sleep either, just waited for morning. At 9:55 a.m., the doorbell rang. Jessica was still upstairs. She had been in the bathroom for an hour, probably trying to pull herself together. I opened the door. Sheriff's Deputy Collins stood on the porch, uniform pressed, expression neutral. Next to him, Patricia Brennan in a business suit, leather folder under her arm. Sergeant Mitchell, Deputy Collins nodded. Deputy, come in. Jessica appeared at the top of the stairs, wrapped in a bathrobe. Ryan, who's... Patricia stepped forward. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Patricia Brennan, attorney at law. I have documents to serve you. Jessica came down slowly, face confused. Documents? Patricia handed her the eviction notice. Jessica unfolded it, read the first few lines. Her face went from confused to disbelieving. Eviction? There must be a mistake. We rent from Robert Callahan. We're up to date on rent. Not anymore, Patricia said, voice even. As of 6 weeks ago, this property was purchased by Sergeant Mitchell. You are no longer a tenant. You are a guest. And as of this moment, you have 30 days to vacate the premises. Jessica's head snapped toward me. What is she talking about? I met her eyes. No warmth, no sympathy. I bought the house, Jessica. While I was deployed. It's mine. Only mine. You can't. I did. Property records are public. Feel free to check. Deputy Collins cleared his throat. Ma'am, if you refuse to comply, we'll be forced to remove you from the property. Ryan, please. Her voice broke. Let me explain. I pulled the second envelope from my jacket. Explain what? Explain these? I laid the photos on the coffee table. Jessica and Nathan at O'Malley's, leaving the hotel, kissing on the porch. Her face went from pale to gray. Or maybe you want to explain these. I added printouts of bank statements, phone records, highlighted charges and calls. She collapsed onto the couch, shaking. Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. Patricia handed her the second set of papers. Divorce petition. Grounds, adultery. You have 30 days to respond. However, given the evidence, I'd advise against contesting. Jessica stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. Then we heard it. A truck in the driveway, a door slamming. Nathan walked in through the front door. He had a key, his own fucking key to my house. He stopped dead when he saw the sheriff, the lawyer, me standing, Jessica crying on the couch. What's going on? Deputy Collins turned. And you are? I'm a friend. He's Nathan Pierce, I said, voice ice. The man who's been fucking my wife in my house. Nathan's face went red, then white. He looked at Jessica, then at me, then at the deputy's uniform. I'm gonna go. That's a good idea, Deputy Collins said. But first, sir, do you have permission to be on this property? Jessica said. Mr. Mitchell is the sole property owner. Do you have his permission? Nathan looked at me. I stared back, expressionless. No, Nathan whispered. Then I suggest you return that key and leave immediately. If you come back without permission, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Nathan fumbled with his keychain, hands shaking. He threw the key on the coffee table like it was burning him. This is He turned to Jessica. You said he didn't know. You said we'd be fine. I thought... You thought... Nathan's voice rose. You ruined my life for I thought? Patricia stepped in. Mr. Pierce, I'd advise you to stop talking. Anything you say can and will be used in divorce proceedings. You're already named in the adultery filing. The color drained from Nathan's face completely. He realized in that moment what he'd done, how deep the hole was. He looked at me, opened his mouth. Get out of my house, I said quietly. Right now. He ran, actually ran. We heard his truck peel out of the driveway. Deputy Collins turned to me. Do you want to press charges for unlawful entry? No, I just want them both gone. He nodded. Mrs. Mitchell, you have 30 days. If you're still here on day 31, we'll be back with a formal eviction order. Understood? Jessica nodded, unable to speak. Patricia collected her files. We'll be in touch regarding the divorce proceedings. Sergeant Mitchell has my number if you need to reach me. They left. The door closed. And it was just me and Jessica in the house that used to be ours. She sat on the couch, divorce papers and eviction notice in her lap, tears streaming down her face. I stood by the window, arms crossed, looking out at the street. Ryan, please, let me explain. Go ahead. You were gone all the time. I was lonely. I didn't mean for it to happen. When did it start? What? When did it start? January, just after New Year's. 8 months. She'd been cheating for 8 months. And the hotel on Valentine's Day? She closed her eyes. Yes. How many times was he here? I don't know. Maybe 20 times? 20. In the house I was paying for. In the bed I slept in. Did you love him? She looked up at me, mascara running, eyes desperate. No, it wasn't like that. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. I laughed, a cold, bitter sound. It didn't mean anything. You fucked another man in my house for 8 months, and it didn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. We can go to counseling. I'll never see him again. Please, Ryan, please. Stop. But just stop. I turned to face her fully. You know what the hardest part was? It wasn't seeing those photos. It wasn't finding out you'd been lying for months. It was realizing that you thought I was stupid, that you thought I'd just come home, find out, and what? Forgive you because I had no other choice? Because I loved you? You bet on the wrong man, Jessica. No, I didn't think... Yes, you did. You thought I was a doormat. You thought my loyalty meant I was weak. You thought I'd take it because where else would I go? What else would I do? I stepped closer. But here's what you didn't know. The Ryan who left 9 months ago, the one who trusted you, who believed in us, you killed him. And the man standing here, he doesn't forgive betrayal. He punishes it. She sobbed openly now. Ryan, please. 9 years. We've been together 9 years. That has to mean something. It did, past tense. You ended it the first time you let him into this house, into our bed. You ended it every time you lied to me over Skype. You ended it when you sent me that text with the heart emoji while he was probably parked down the street. I picked up the eviction notice, handed it back to her. You have 30 days. After that, if you're not gone, the sheriff comes back with a removal order. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. What about the rent I paid? The security deposit? According to the original lease with Robert, all deposits and payments were forfeited upon sale of the property. You signed that lease, remember? Her face crumpled. She'd been paying rent to live in a house I was buying. Every dollar she handed over had gone toward my purchase. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. And Nathan, she whispered, what about him? Are you going to... He's already destroyed. Everyone in this town knows by now. His ex-wife's lawyer called Patricia yesterday. Apparently, she's reopening their custody case. Seems adultery reflects on character. I shrugged. Not my problem either. Jessica looked around the room, at the furniture we'd bought together, the pictures on the walls, the life we'd built. Then she looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Who are you? She whispered. I'm the guy you should have thought about before you brought another man into his house. She left the next day. Didn't say goodbye. I watched from the window as she loaded boxes into her car. Her mother came to help, wouldn't even look at me. Fine. I didn't need her approval. By noon, Jessica's car was gone. By 1 p.m., I'd changed every lock in the house. The key I'd given her that last good night, useless now, just like our marriage. Word spread fast in a military town. By Monday, everyone knew. The grocery store clerk gave me a sympathetic nod. The guy at the hardware store shook my hand. My father's friends at the VFW bought me a beer I didn't ask for. Emma called. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. Maybe if I'd..." "Emma, you told me exactly when I needed to know. You gave me information. What I did with it was my choice. Don't carry that guilt." "Are you okay?" "I'm breathing. That's enough for now." Nathan's life imploded in slow motion. His boss at the supply store, a retired Marine, heard the story and reassigned him to the warehouse. "Can't have you representing the company," he apparently said, "not with this hanging over you." His ex-wife did reopen the custody case. His daughter, who'd been staying with him every other weekend, stopped coming. Suddenly, character mattered. Suddenly, actions had consequences. He tried to explain himself at Murphy's bar one night. Marcus was there, heard the whole thing. "It's not like that," Nathan told his buddies. "She said they were having problems. She said he was never around. I didn't think..." One of his friends cut him off. "Dude, you slept with a deployed soldier's wife, in his house. There's no explaining that. There's no excuse." Nathan left alone, and based on what I heard, he kept leaving alone. Small towns have long memories. And in a military town, betraying one of your own, that's unforgivable. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Jessica didn't contest anything. How could she? The evidence was overwhelming, the legal advice clear. She had no case. I sat in the courtroom, Patricia next to me, and watched the judge review the file. "Mrs. Mitchell, do you contest the grounds of adultery?" Jessica, pale and thin, shook her head. "No, Your Honor." "Do you dispute the property claims?" "No, Your Honor." "Do you request spousal support or division of assets?" Her public defender, overworked, exhausted, stood. "Your Honor, my client requests spousal support during her transition period. She was married for 9 years and..." Patricia cut in smoothly. "Your Honor, Sergeant Mitchell owes nothing. The adultery is documented and admitted. Mrs. Mitchell contributed no property to the marriage. The home was purchased in Sergeant Mitchell's name alone, with his funds alone. During the period of her admitted affair, she forfeited any claim to marital support through her conduct." The judge looked at Jessica over his glasses. "Mrs. Mitchell, you understand that adultery in this state is grounds for fault-based divorce, which affects settlement?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And you have no documentation showing contribution to property, assets, or finances?" "No, Your Honor." He signed the papers. "Divorce granted, no spousal support, no asset division. Sergeant Mitchell retains all property and accounts. Next case." Just like that. 9 years, gone in 90 seconds. I walked out of the courthouse into bright September sunshine. Patricia shook my hand on the steps. "How do you feel?" "Empty," I said honestly. "But free." She nodded. "That's normal. Give it time." I sold the house 2 weeks later. Couldn't live there anymore. Too many ghosts. Too much history. A young couple with a baby bought it, paid cash, said it was their dream home. I hoped they'd be happy there. I hoped they'd fill it with better memories than I had. With the money from the sale, I moved, out of state, away from the town that had watched my marriage fall apart, away from the whispers and the sympathy and the weight of being that guy. I landed in Montana, small town outside Billings, mountains in the distance, air so clean it hurt. Got a job at a local mechanic shop, civilian work, no more military, no more deployments. Just me, some tools, and engines that made sense. Marcus called once a week. "You doing okay out there, brother? Getting by? Emma asks about you, says you should visit. Maybe, someday. We're here if you need us." I know. 6 months after the divorce, I was rebuilding, slowly, carefully. Like reconstructing an engine from scattered parts, finding what still worked, discarding what was broken, making something new from the pieces. I didn't date, didn't even think about it. How do you trust again after that? How do you let someone in when the last person you let in burned everything down? Then Marcus called with an idea. "There's someone I want you to meet." "Not interested." "Just coffee. Her name's Sarah. She's a teacher, divorced, no kids. Emma knows her from the gym. Good people, Ryan. Just give it a shot." I almost said no, but something in Marcus's voice, that stubborn loyalty that had sent Emma's message in the first place, made me pause. One coffee. That's all I'm asking. We met at a cafe in town. Sarah was early 30s, dark hair, honest eyes. She sat across from me and got straight to it. Full disclosure, I know your story, Emma told me, and I just want to say, you did nothing wrong. I blinked. Most people think I went too far. Most people don't understand what it's like to have someone weaponize your love against you. She stirred her coffee. My ex-husband cheated while I was caring for my dying mother. Told me I was too distracted, too emotional, not meeting his needs. Like my mother's cancer was an inconvenience to him. What did you do? I left. Took half of everything, which was legally mine, and I never looked back. She met my eyes. I don't judge you for the eviction. I judge her for the betrayal. We talked for 3 hours about trust and betrayal and rebuilding, about whether people like us could ever fully open up again, about whether it was worth trying. At the end, she asked, "So are you looking for something? Or just seeing what happens?" Honestly, I don't know. I know I'm tired of being angry. Then don't be. Be something else. Like what? Open. I thought about that word, open, after spending months being closed, guarded, walled off. Could I do that? Could I risk it again? I don't know if I can. Then don't, not yet. She smiled, sad but genuine. But maybe don't decide you can't. Not forever. We saw each other again, and again. Nothing serious. Just coffee, then dinner, then a movie. She didn't push. Didn't ask about Jessica. Didn't try to fix me. She just existed next to me. And slowly, in the space she held open, I started to breathe again. One night, she asked, "Do you regret it? The eviction, the divorce, how public it all was?" I thought about it. Really thought. No, not because I'm cruel, but because I learned something. You teach people how to treat you. And if you let betrayal slide, you tell the world you're a doormat. I refuse to be a doormat. You became a wall instead. Yeah, I did. Walls are lonely. They are, but they're safe. She reached across the table, put her hand on mine, didn't say anything, just left it there. And for the first time in a year, I didn't pull away. 8 months after the divorce, Emma called out of the blue. "Hey Ryan, I know it's random, but I needed to check in. How are you really doing?" "Better. I'm seeing someone. Marcus told me. Sarah seems great." "She is. But Emma, I called for a reason. I wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For sending those photos. For telling me the truth when you didn't have to. I still feel guilty, like I broke up your marriage. Emma, you didn't break anything. Jessica did. You gave me information. I chose what to do with it. And because of that choice, I'm not trapped in a lie anymore. You saved me." I heard her crying on the other end of the line. "Emma? Sorry, I was so worried I did the wrong thing." Loyalty isn't just keeping secrets. Sometimes it's telling the hard truth. You did both. You kept it quiet until you had proof, and then you gave me the truth. That's real loyalty. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being that person. The world needs more people like you. We hung up, and I sat in my Montana apartment, looking out at the mountains, and realized something. The people who mattered had stayed. Marcus, Emma, my father, even Patricia in her professional way. And now, Sarah, cautiously, carefully, making space for me to heal. The people who didn't matter, Jessica, Nathan, the fair-weather friends who'd whispered behind my back, they'd all faded into background noise. Static. Nothing. One afternoon, I found myself driving through my old town. Hadn't planned it. Was visiting my parents for Thanksgiving. Took a wrong turn, ended up on Oak Street. I slowed down in front of 428. The house. My house. Not anymore. A swing set stood in the backyard now. Toys scattered on the lawn. The porch light glowed warm in the late afternoon. Through the window, I saw a young family, the couple who'd bought it, sitting at the dinner table. The dad was holding a baby. The mom was laughing. I parked across the street and watched. Not with longing, not with regret. Just watching. That house used to mean everything. It was supposed to be the start of forever, but it was just wood and nails and memories, half of which were lies. The real home, the one I'd built in my head with Jessica, had burned down the day Emma sent those photos. And that was okay, because I was building something new now. Smaller, more careful, but real. A kid ran out the front door, laughing, being chased by the dad. They played in the yard, simple, happy, the way it should have been. I put the truck in gear and drove away. Didn't look back. If you're listening to this, maybe you think I'm a hero. You're wrong, I'm not. I'm just a guy who refused to be a victim, who refused to swallow betrayal and call it mercy. Maybe you think I'm a villain, that I went too far, that eviction was cruel, that humiliation was petty. You're entitled to that. Judge me all you want. I can live with it. But here's what I know. What I learned in that kitchen 9 months before deployment, and in the Iraqi desert, and in a courtroom in September, and in every quiet moment since. The world is full of people who will take advantage of your goodness if you let them. And the difference between being kind and being a fool is knowing when to stop giving chances. Jessica taught me that. Nathan taught me that. And I'm grateful for the lesson, even if the tuition nearly killed me. What would I say to someone going through this? Document everything. Trust your gut. Don't let anyone convince you that your pain isn't valid. And when the time comes to choose yourself, do it without apology, because at the end of the day, the only person guaranteed to be in your life forever is you. Make sure you can live with the person you see in the mirror. I don't know if Sarah and I will work out. Maybe I'm too damaged. Maybe she'll realize the guy who evicted his wife is too cold, too calculating, too hard. But for the first time since I saw those photos, I felt something other than rage. I felt possibility. That evening, back in my Montana apartment, Sarah texted, "Dinner Friday?" I looked at the message, at my reflection in the darkened window, at the mountains beyond dusted with early snow. I typed back, "Yes," and I meant it. I don't know if I'll ever get married again. Hell, I don't know if I'll ever fully trust again, but I'm here. I'm whole, and I own my life, every scar, every lesson, every hard-won piece of peace. Nobody else. Just me. That's enough.